What's up and welcome to Recognize Maine on RecognizeRap.com. It's the weekly talk show about the Maine hip-hop scene, and today, quite the show for you lined up. We got Westbrook producer J-Wizdum stopping by to chop it up, plus the beatmaker extraordinaire Ambrose is coming through all the way from Gorham. He'll be joining the show in just a bit. And, before we get going here, just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoyed the day yesterday with the family. And if you're out doing some Black Friday shopping today, please keep your distance. Don't try to do too much pushing and shoving for that new PS5 or that new Xbox or even that new iPhone. I mean, I could use a new iPhone myself. I still got I actually got the iPhone SE from, I don't know what year this came out, like 2015, 2016, but I'm definitely in the need for a new phone. But anyways, if you're out shopping today, make sure to wear a mask and treat those retail workers with respect. They're just doing their job, just trying to make everything as smooth as possible. Don't do too much arguing. Everyone just keep their composure, please. And another thing I want to mention before we, get the show going here, this past weekend on Saturday, there was actually a live stream concert called Save Our Stages, put on by the Maine Music Alliance, in partnership with the State Theater in Portland. Dope event to raise money, a little fundraiser for all the venues around Maine who are struggling because of the pandemic right now. No concerts, no festivals. These places, they're struggling to get money. So there was a cool live stream concert featuring local artists in Maine, raise money for these venues to help keep them alive. We already saw the Port City Music Hall shut down earlier this year, so in hopes to keep other music venues alive and well, events like this help keep that possible. So round of applause for the Save Our Stages event. Definitely a good look right there this past weekend. And without further ado, let's welcome J-Wizdum to the show here, all the way from Westbrook. Now this track right here, one of Jay's coldest beats in my opinion, is called Saga. You can hear the horns there, just the percussion, definitely a feel-good tune right there. So Jay, last time we spoke, here on Recognize Maine was summer of 2019. I remember that, that day you told me on a typical day you spend 4 to 5 hours, in the basement cooking up beats. And, back then, the weather was nice, the birds are out chirping, there's no such thing as a pandemic. And now this year, this little thing called the coronavirus happens, forces everyone to stay indoors, forces everyone inside with the government shutdown. So tell me, if you were spending 4 or 5 hours per day back then, this year, how much have you been inside? Has that taken your work ethic to a whole new level, would you say?
I would say so, in a way. Yeah, like with the whole shutdown, and I actually was one of the people that lost my job because of it, so I was out of work for that. So yeah, I guess I was around the same amount of time, 4.5 hours a day still. There was definitely a stronger workflow over the summer, kind of a few months after it had everyone had gotten used to the whole quarantining thing, and then once the summer kicked in, that's when I started working on that album that I dropped in October. And I would say that's kind of when things started to kick into a little higher of a gear in terms of my work ethic. But to be honest, it's kind of been the same thing more or less this year, just less action in terms of meeting up with artists in person, which kind of sucks, and the lack of shows, obviously, which is a bummer. But yeah, we're making it work, still sending out beats and meeting with people through FaceTimes and whatnot and calls. So yeah, kind of getting used to the whole thing because it's probably going to be around for a little while, but we're trying to make the best of it for sure.
Right, like you said, that is a adjustment I'm sure many producers and artists have had to make, perhaps more sending verses back and forth through email, less meeting up in person for collaboration. So I'm definitely glad you touched on that. Now, let me ask you this. I know you're a big anime fan. So with all this extra time indoors this year, did you discover any new animes? There must have been some.
That's a good question. Yeah, there was one new anime I watched that had some really good soundtracks that gave me some new inspiration. It was called Monster. It was a psychological thriller, kind of horror type of anime. It was really good. It was from like 2004. Watched that, and I finished that just a little bit before I started working on the album, and that particular show, just the storyline of it, the vibe, and the soundtrack, kind of like that was one of the things that kind of kicked me into that vibe. It just kind of, just the overall, I don't know, just the overall art of it just kind of gave me like some inspiration to start getting back into my own art. So yeah, really glad that I watched that. Other than that, nah, just that one. And yeah, I mean, I should be watching more, you're right, but yeah, I watched that monster one, which was really good.
Yeah, I actually watched a Japanese horror movie on Netflix the other night. Speaking of anime, of course, the Japanese cartoons. So, it's good that, to not watch everything American. There are so many good other films, from across the world. So it's definitely good to branch out in that way too. So tell me this, I know you just touched on the album you put out in October, and on that release, it featured artists from across the country, as well as local artists here in Maine that were handpicked by you. So tell me this, the artists that did appear on that project, why did they make sense? Why did those artists fit your sound?
Yeah, so it started with those local artists, Jimmy, Shane, and Donald. Those three rappers were always people that had stuck out to my eye in terms of the sound that they have that I think could match on what I produce. So I hit those guys up, and we had been talking about working before I had started working on the album. So of course they were down. And then the other people, some of them I had known for a little while, but some of them I had kind of hit up specifically for the album because I had discovered their music through SoundCloud or the Instagram Explore page, and I just liked their sound, and I would hit them up, and they were of course down for it as well. And yeah, that's how that kind of happened. With Novelist, I would say the most important artist on that album. It took him a while to get it ready, to get the song ready. But I had been talking to him earlier this year before all the COVID stuff happened. But yeah, so I guess we had been talking to all the people about it for a little less than a year, but yeah, we started talking to them about it earlier this year. But it was a really fun process to gather all those people for it. It was really dope to have all of them on those beats, and I'm going to definitely do another album like that sometime again soon. But yeah, this one was received really well by all the fans, people around the area locally, so it was a really dope project.
Now, is there a particular verse from that album that, stands out to you? Is there a favorite bar? Is there a favorite verse from there?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh man, to be honest, I mean, not a bar, but just the whole Tea and Lemon song in general is definitely the standout track, just because Novelist, out of anyone on that list, other than maybe Shane, Novelist was the oldest guy on there and had been rapping for the longest time. And not only that, I think he's probably the only one on there that's doing it full time. So it was really kind of amazing to hear his skill and his lyrical ability and his writing ability on one of my tracks. So when I dropped the album, I was definitely promoting that track heavily because I really wanted people to listen to that one.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned, Shane Rice, local artist here in Maine. He actually had my favorite bar on that album. I think he said, the photo isn't cropped. I just always found my way to the top. And I heard that. I was like, nah, that's too fire right there. Definitely a memorable line right there. So, and not only did you, produce an album in October, but also recently, one of your beats actually got some airtime on Hot 97, the major hip-hop station in New York City. So, first I just want to say, congratulations on that. That's a major move right there. Not only is, Hot 97 perhaps one of the biggest rap stations here in America, but, some would say that in the whole world, that's one of the top hip-hop radio stations. So, what was your reaction when you heard, your beat got some play on there?
Oh man, well, thank you first off, appreciate it. Yeah, that was crazy, to be honest. I just woke up one morning and it was actually the same day that Audio Mac wrote the article about the S. Carter song. So I woke up, saw that article, and then maybe 45 minutes after that, Monday sends me a text with the Hot 97, like a screen record of the Hot 97 song, or the song on Hot 97. And now I was like, oh shit, like Pete Rosenberg played that. I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, that was a really big deal. and that made me feel really good. I was kind of just like, that whole day I was just kind of like, I couldn't really believe it. I was like, holy shit, just re-listening to it, like making sure it was a real link and whatnot. Like, yeah, it was a whole big thing. I was really happy about myself for that one. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, no doubt, and that's definitely dope. Anytime local artists here in Maine get exposure in other states, especially on stations as big as Hot 97, that's not only a good look for you, but for the whole state as well. And, switching gears a little bit, let me ask you this. I know that when you're not producing beats, one of your interests is, vintage clothing. You actually have an Instagram page, Brook Vintage 1, where you collect clothes, doing some thrift shopping, and you sell used clothes as well. So, let me ask you this. Has there been a clothing item you've come across that's just too fire to sell? One that you're like, nah, I got to hold on to this one.
Yeah, yes, I do have a good amount of pieces like that, actually. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I like to talk about this. Not too many people bring it up, but yeah, that's my second love for sure after beat making. I mean, realistically, I've loved it longer than beat making, but when I started making beats, the passion for it took over a little more. But yeah, in terms of, I have this crazy, I don't know if you'd be familiar with the brand, but there's an old streetwear brand called Conart. Biggie used to wear it in the late 90s, and I have a shirt from it was 1993, and it has some crazy graffiti art on the front, and it's worth a lot of money, but I do kind of want to keep it just because it's kind of a sentimental piece, just because that brand's really old and rare. But yeah, I have that. That's probably my favorite one if someone wants to try and get that off me, they can try, but I don't know if I'm ever going to let that one go.
No, I know what you mean, because, me, I don't collect vintage clothing per se, but I do collect, antique baseball cards. That's one of the hobbies of mine, and I know what you mean, how, some of them you almost want to buy as an investment. You buy them low, you sell them high, years down the road, but then again, some of these cards are just cool that you just want to hold on to, maybe pass down to future generations. So I definitely get what you're saying right there. Now, the last question I got for you, I was doing some digging on your Bandcamp page online, and I saw in the description, you actually describe yourself as a lyrical rapper's dream producer. So tell me, how do your beats bring the best out of artists?
So I think, a lot of my beats, I do make them kind of to let the artist breathe as well. I'll try and have not too much stuff going on with the sample, and I'll have it speak just enough so that people can be like, oh, that beats also like says a lot as well, not just the guy who's rapping or singing or whatever. So I try and make it just as easy for the rapper to go over as possible. But sorry, I think I got tracked off from the question, but I think I answered it.
No, you definitely answered it. You gave a good point how as a producer, you want to let the beats breathe as well. You want to let the beats do some of the talking, and not only have, the rapper do their thing, but also have the beats kind of speak for themselves, which, that's interesting. I've never really heard a producer put it that way. I definitely like how you said that for sure. Well, Jay, just want to say thank you so much for stopping by here on Recognize Maine. Happy Thanksgiving. Definitely enjoy the rest of your day. And, this next producer here on Recognize Maine, straight out of Gorham, super young, super dope. His name is Ambrose, and right now, this is just a taste of one of his beats. It's called Stargazing. This beat is actually for sale on his BeatStars page. If you like it, definitely get in touch with Ambrose. By the way, J-Wizdum, if you like some of his beats, you can check him out down below in the description box. I got the link to his Bandcamp page there as well. So Ambrose, let me ask you this. You're 14 years old, super young, already super talented. At what age did you realize that, you had a special ear for music?
In like 7th grade, I started playing around with loops and stuff. And when I started playing around with loops, I was like, I'm going to find something to like make these loops myself. So then I downloaded this like free like beat making software called like LMMS. I think my dad helped me find it. And then from there, I upgraded to FL Studio like a couple months later, and that's how it started.
Now, every producer has their specialty, right? I mean, some are, really gifted playing the piano. Others are good at laying down drums. What would you say your specialty is as a producer?
I'd say I'm definitely better with drums, as most producers are. But sometimes I get creative and make my own melodies. Other times I use loops. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that, drums are the strong point for producers. Definitely interesting. You said that. Now, speaking of other instruments, I was on your BeatStars page. I noticed a couple of your beats actually feature the flute, which is kind of outside the box. Why do you think flute is a good instrument for, rap songs?
I'd say it works well with most instruments. It's good for, like, counter melodies and stuff because it just blends well with most instruments.
Yeah, I know a couple popular songs like Mask Off by Future, Bop by DaBaby. Those two tracks feature flutes, and those are both very successful commercially. I definitely think more producers should add flute into the beat. It's just a nice soothing sound for sure. Now, let me ask you this. In terms of the setup you have, some producers go all out, with the neon lights, the lava lamps, while other producers, like to keep it minimal as possible and really just produce with nothing but a laptop. So tell me, what does your setup look like, when you're producing beats?
Right now, I have a pair of headphones and a laptop, but I'm getting some studio monitors and putting some sound panels in my room just to block out the noise. And then once I start selling beats and stuff, once I get profit from that, I'm gonna start making my own home studio where I got a mic stand and stuff.
Okay. Now, I know you mentioned selling beats, and I noticed, a lot of your beats go for the $50 price point. So, have you had much success, selling beats for $50 a pop?
Well, since I just started selling beats, I haven't gotten too many sales yet, but I feel like promotion is a big part of starting a music career. And so, more promotion would probably be better.
Right. Yeah, $50 though, I mean, that's a pretty good price point. As time goes on, maybe that 50 will turn to 500 and then 5,000 per beat. So I definitely think local artists should, get a hold of you while they're, priced so low, so inexpensive and affordable for sure. Now, switching gears a little bit, I know you're from Gorham, which anyone who's not familiar with the area should know, there's not a whole lot going on in Gorham. So tell me this, when you're not in the lab cooking up beats, how do you spend your time?
Well, I've been playing football since 6th grade, and usually I don't know, sports is a big hobby of mine. Also, playing video games and stuff.
Okay. Now, football, I know the Super Bowl's just a couple months away at this point. The NFL season's winding down. Do you have a Super Bowl prediction? What two teams do you think are going to go the distance?
I mean, I haven't really been paying too much attention, but I'd have to say, probably the Chiefs for the AFC, and for the NFC, maybe the Ravens. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs are they're having a hell of a season already. Of course, got the best quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. I know the Super Bowl is actually in Tampa Bay this year, and Tom Brady being on the Buccaneers now, it'll be interesting if he can lead the Bucs to the Super Bowl and then play the big game on his home field. That's never been done before. It'll be interesting to see if that happens this year. Well, Ambrose, just want to say thank you so much for stopping by the show here on Recognize Maine. Definitely check out his BeatStars page down below. The link is in the description box. And hit him up on Instagram as well if you're interested in copying a beat from Ambrose or J-Wizdum. And now it's time for that fan favorite segment. It's called Jammy with Danny, local music critic. Danny is joining us giving us one new track that came out this past week. She's going to let us know if it's a jam or, if it's not a jam. So, Danny, what are we getting into today?
Hey, Matt. So, today we're listening to Backseat Freestyle by Desi Trill. Let's check it out.
I just got some brand new black forces, I might hit me a lick. My niggas moving risky around the city, they gotta keep it stick. Heard my experts turning with thotties, she gotta keep it thick. I'ma say respectfully and paying for the OnlyFans. Used to be tripping about bitches, now I be only bands. The Mary's on me dripping, like they my only pants. Yeah, like they my only pants. You a pussy caught up in crime, now you a holy man.
I understand how this was something that was just like a freestyle in the backseat, hence the name Backseat Freestyle. But for it to be a jam for me, I would have liked there to be a little bit more studio work, throw it in the studio, cook it up a little bit, edit it a little bit. And also I don't really like the flow of this song, of this rap beat, regardless of whether it's a freestyle. Even if something was a freestyle, you would have bopped to it. I don't really like it. So to me, this week is not a jam, but hey, it has potential. Throw it up in the studio, cook it up, work on the flow a little bit, and you'll make it work. So back to you.
Yeah, I got to agree. I got to say, I like the idea. I just don't like the execution. I'll never knock an artist for, trying something new, trying to put out new visuals for their fans to enjoy. Me, I'm a big content guy. Just let it fly. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And in this situation, I can't say I love it, but like you said, if it is laid down, in a actual studio, where we got some better sound quality, I think it might work out. I think it could be a hit. But in terms of what we have so far, I can't say I'm a fan of that either. It also reminds me of, I think Kendrick Lamar actually put out a track called Backseat Freestyle on his debut album, Good Kid, Mad City. So perhaps, this was a little spin on that, which, again, I like the creativity. I just don't love the execution. But if you got a track that you want us to check out on next week's episode of Recognize Maine, please let us know in the comments section below. And with that, farewell. Have a nice weekend. And like I said, if you're doing some Black Friday shopping today, please wear a mask, keep your distance, and just be nice. All right, take it easy.